This is a medieval longsword from Lockwood Swords, and it was sent to me for review. I'll have to send it back afterwards, which means I didn't get to do any abusive testing with it. However, I did some regular cutting tests and can give you my opinion based on that. The price is $900, so it's Albion price range basically, and in fact it is quite reminiscent of Albion swords. This kind of handle wrap is pretty similar. It's also made by stock removal. This particular model here is SL-1011, and it's based on an Oakshot Type 13A. So it's also known as a war sword. These were used mainly in the 13th and 14th centuries. The blade is made of 5160 spring steel and tempered to a hardness of 52 HRC, which is a pretty good hardness for this kind of blade. And the grip is cord wrapped stabilized poplar. And as you can see, the overall shape has a pretty slim profile, so it is historically accurate. The only thing is he gave a bit of a personal spin on the pommel by making it more elongated, so it's more elliptical than round. From what I've seen so far, war swords generally had a round pommel, and I can see why. Actually, this is something that personally bothers me a little bit while handling it during cutting. Like generally I'm used to holding it at the pommel. This is not particularly comfortable, and when holding it higher up in the cut, sometimes the pommel just kind of bumps against the hand and is not super comfortable. So I think personally I would prefer a round disc pommel, but otherwise I can already tell you this is pretty much my only complaint. This is really a nitpick. Other than that, I don't see anything wrong with it. The guard is well shaped, nice and symmetrical, good crisp lines everywhere. No irregularities, no pitting or any other flaws. There's a bit of a gap there, but not enough to even nitpick. This is perfectly fine. No issue there. The pommel as well is overall well shaped in terms of craftsmanship. It's just that I don't like the elongated shape. But otherwise you can see the peen here where the tang is hammered down on the pommel. You can see the hammer marks. The blade shape is very precise. It's got a nice even fuller running along it, as is to be expected with stock removal. As far as the sharpness is concerned, I cannot complain this time. It's very common for reproduction swords to not be sharp enough, but this one here is fine. I mean, it's not amazing. It's not shaving sharp, but you can see sometimes it's a little hard to get the cut started here, but generally it is definitely acceptable. And I definitely have to mention the edge geometry positively. It's a nice even taper from the fuller to the edge. That really makes it easy to resharpen it if necessary, or if you want to give it that extra shaving sharpness. The flexibility seems just right to me. It's not floppy by any means, but it's definitely flexible enough that you don't have to worry about it breaking, especially with this kind of steel. So this should be very sturdy. And despite not having done abusive tests, hacking into wood and all of that, so I have to, of course, acknowledge that and say, well, I don't know exactly the limits of the sword because I haven't brought it to its limits. But at the same time, based on how it's made, like based on which material was used, how it's assembled, how it feels, based on how there is no looseness anywhere. And there were some hard impacts on some of the targets. In fact, the last time I tried cutting tests, I rolled the mats way too tightly and didn't soak them for long enough. So that was quite a hard impact. That's almost abusive testing. So based on that, it seems pretty good. And as far as the handling is concerned, beautiful. I'm really impressed. This feels great. Right kind of weight and balance. It's certainly optimized for cutting. You can see The balance is not extremely close to the hilt. I mean, still relatively close, but for a longsword, it is certainly cutting oriented, as you can also see by the overall blade shape. It doesn't taper much. It has a relatively round point. So this is really a cutter. You can feel the heft in the blade, but at the same time, it's light and agile enough that it doesn't require much strength to use, and it doesn't tire you out during practice. For cutting practice, this is excellent. It handles well, as said, and it cuts really well. So what more can you ask for, right? I know what some of you would say. What more can you ask for? Lower price, of course. But it's the usual issue of you get what you pay for. This one, in my opinion, is worth the asking price. And speaking of the price, instead of me sending it back to the maker, if somebody wants to buy it, that's an option. And in that case, you can get it for $700, so $200 discount. Just in case anybody is interested in buying it, let me know. We can arrange that. And other than that, I don't think I have any more to add about it. So I hope you found the review helpful, and thanks for watching.